Right, so there's a report out that the average age of cars in the UK is reaching its highest level. It's actually at 10 years. So the average age of cars that people are driving around in the UK is now at 10 years old. This is according to the motor research from RAC Foundation. And they're saying the cars on average are now 10 years old on our roads. And they're framing this as bad news, because they're saying that this is bad news for the environment. Why are they saying that? Well, because they're saying that it's slowing the transition to electric vehicles. I think that, there's a number of reasons that that's happening, and we're going to get into some of those reasons. But also this assumption that it's bad because we're slowing that, what is otherwise a potentially very rapid switch to electric vehicles, I also have a little bit of an issue with. Yes, I understand the point of view that, well, okay, electric vehicles like the one I'm in right now, which is the new Polestar 4, stay tuned, review for this coming very, very soon. It's fully electric, and yes, there is no tailpipe. There's no tailpipe emissions because there is no tailpipe. But of course, there is the other aspect of electric cars versus the fact that if we are keeping a car longer, running it longer, is that necessarily bad for the environment? Well, let's get into that. Let's get into that. Let's get into what the facts are, what they're saying in terms of the age of the cars, what percentage of cars, etc., etc. Let's do all of that right after this.
A brown car guy. Brown car guy.
Right, so to be exact, they're saying that the average age of the car in the UK, the cars that people use, drive every day, the average age is now 9 years and 10 months. This is actually what they're saying. 9 years and 10 months is the average age of the car. And this compares to 7 years and 5 months. That was the case in 2015. So they're comparing it to 2015. So they're comparing it to 10 years. Which is interesting because the cars that they're talking about on average 10 years old now would have been brand new 10 years ago. But anyway, in 2015 it was 7 years and something months, 4 months, and now it's 9 years and 10 months, so therefore effectively 10 years old. Delving further into the data, and what they found is that the hybrid cars are actually 3 years and 4 months old, and I think electric cars were 2 years and something months old. So not huge. Electric cars are generally quite new in that sense. And this is the problem that they're saying. This is an issue. The fact that these electric cars that we're supposed to be all embracing and switching over to, we're not doing it quick enough. We're not doing fast enough. We're not doing it at enough scale and volume, and therefore that is a problem, according to them, for the environment. Anyway, again, from the data, 40.7% of cars on the road are now 10 years, on average 10 years or older. Compared to 2015, when it was only 32.7%. So it was less than a third. And 40%, what are we talking? We're talking about 2 in 5, I guess, right? So that's quite a jump. It's a jump of, nearly 10%. And one of the key things that you got to look at when you say that, well, why are people keeping cars longer? There are several reasons. I want to get into some of these reasons. And one of the reasons is that new cars are expensive, very expensive. So this car that I'm in right now, this is the Polestar 4, fully electric car. It's a luxury-ish car. The Polestar is an offshoot of Volvo. So it's like an upper-end Volvo, if you like, an executive-level Volvo. It's large, it's not small. What do you think it is? It's got 544 horsepower. What do you think? I'll give you a second or two to guess what you might be thinking. You're probably thinking 40, 45, 50 grand, 55. Let's say 55, right? This is about 67 base. 67,000 starting price. And once you load it with the options, which you inevitably will because you don't want something like this without all the kit. Once you load it with options, this particular car that I'm in right now is 71,500 pounds. I think it's a few pounds over that actually. 71,500 pounds. And therein lies the problem. New cars are expensive, right? The fact is, in fact, Autocar did some research, I think it was at the end of last year, and they said that the average price of a new car now is £45,000. £45,000 is the average price of a new car. Yes, of course, if you go in the market, you'll find cars for £17,000-18,000 brand new, but we're talking average. So we're looking across the board, and of course, don't forget that since more electric cars come in, a lot of them are luxury cars, a lot of them are high-end cars, and they have actually pulled that average price up. So the average price is now £45,000. Now, again, we're doing this comparison to 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was about £25,000. The Autocar, the research they did, they actually compared it to, I think, 15 years ago, and they found that I think it was 129% increase, nearly 130% increase in prices. So their price was like in 20 whenever it was 15 years ago, in 2010, it would have been the average price of a new car would have been about 22 and a half or so, something like that. 10 years ago, it increased. Can you imagine? In 5 years, it increased, say, 2.5, increased to about 25, 26, something like that, right? Now we're talking about £45,000. £45,000. That's incredible. So therein right there is a problem. And then the other problem, and actually this is a really good car to demonstrate this in. Actually, before I come back to that, I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but something else occurred to me. How do you buy these cars? You buy them on finance. You know, and nobody walks into a dealership and plonks a bag full of, you know, £50 notes and goes right and buying cash. Okay, I exaggerate, no £50 notes, but nobody's going to sign a check and say, here's all the money. Everybody buys cars on finance, right? Which makes sense. And to a large degree, leasing and stuff. In fact, you don't even buy cars, let's be honest. You kind of long-term rent them. That's what leasing really is, right? Because then you hand it back. Otherwise, you have to pay a lump sum to actually own the car. But of course, recently, just been in the news, a whole bunch of scandals about people being overcharged commission on those things and what have you. So again, all of this unnerves people, upsets people, stays their hand, causes them to hesitate and pause and think about it. Do I go in and sign up to a contract where I'm bound into a 3-year, 5-year deal where I'm paying X amount of money every month in these uncertain times where rents are going up, cost of living is going up, everything is going up. But I'm committed to this X amount of money on this car that I'm not necessarily using all the time. It's a big ask, you know, and it's a big amount of money now. It's not a small amount of money, it's a big amount of money because these cars are expensive. So it really makes people stop and think. And so I think that a lot of people are like, well, you know, I can either do that. Say you're buying a brand new car and say you saved £5,000 deposit, and you go, I'll put £5,000 deposit down. I'll pay about £600-700 a month on this car as well, or I take that £5,000 and I just buy an old banger. Clear and simple. Bought it outright. Done. It's your car. Drive it into the ground. Bangernomics. I'm a big subscriber to Bangernomics. Definitely back in the day, I used to buy quite a few cars off eBay. Bangernomics. Buy a cheap car. You don't have to worry about it. Drive around, especially if you're in London or what have you. You don't have to worry about people dinging it, scratching it, you know, whatever. Drive it around, beat the crap out of it. You know, just put in a little bit of money just to make sure it keeps going. Every time the MOT comes up and say, okay, what needs to be doing? And you go work it out. You go, okay, well, how much the car cost me? It cost me £800. How much is it worth costing me? It costing me £1,500, or I scrap it, buy something else. You know, it's that sort of thing. So there's the element of where people are like, well, why should I do that? Why should I pay all that money for a brand new car when I can just get something, own it outright, don't have to worry about the every month paying for it and stuff like that, and it's just convenient. So these two are very powerful reasons why this should be occurring. There's also a couple of other reasons. So first of all, I'm going to come back to what I was going to get into, but I paused, and that was the fact that I'm in this car right now. So this is a Polestar 4. I don't know if you can see from that camera, but you'll see it has no rear window. So they removed the rear window and they put a digital rear view mirror in this car. And that's just one of a number of gimmicks in this car. The whole thing, literally, I only have one control, and that's for the volume knob. That's it. Everything else is operated by a screen. Even the glove box. You cannot open the glove box. There is no latch or lever or button to open the glove box. It's in the screen, right? To adjust the wing mirrors, I have to go into the screen. right? When I just jumped into this car and I was trying to figure that out, that annoyed the heck out of me. So, oh, nice old classic Beetle there, proves the point. Classic Beetle as well, lovely in blue. Proves the point. More and more, and I'm seeing more and more older classic cars. In London particularly, I'm seeing cars older than 40 years. And I always said that. I said this 2-3 years ago when the ULEZ was being expanded, and I put it out there. I said, look, just buy cars older than 40 years, right? No MOT and no ULEZ requirement or anything like that. You just drive them. And I think maybe some people are doing that. So the complexity and the unnecessary complexity, the confusion for a lot of people getting into this car, and they're like, I can't be doing with all this connectivity and all this electronics, and I can't feel what I'm doing, I can't feel what I'm driving, all of this sort of stuff. And I think that to a lot of people is off-putting, and I can understand that. I can fully appreciate that. So I think that is also a big element of this. The fact that people are like, well, I just don't like the new cars. They're just too confusing, so I'd rather stick with something that I'm familiar with, especially for older drivers, because they're like, okay, well, I have to relearn everything. I have to relearn how to do this. That's a downside. That is a downside. So, and then the fourth reason that I was going to come to, the aspect of driving them, right? As good as these modern cars are, so easy to drive, so smooth, so serene, they do half the work for you. They've got all the assist systems in there, the crash avoidance, the steering assist. They do half the work for you now. It's like, it's like doing a driving game on a console where you've turned all the assists on, and then ultimately you're finding it's braking for you, it's steering for you. The kind of modern cars are almost doing that. And they're getting close to that point where, they'll just be doing the driving for you. We're getting to that. The trouble is that if you are somebody who enjoys driving, that's not very satisfying. And the fact is that if you follow me, you'll know that I just recently sold a BMW E30, a 1989 E30, and I absolutely adore driving that. The visceral aspect of driving an older car, the shortest drive turns into an adventure. The shortest drive turns into a satisfying thrill of an adventure. Because you're feeling the car, you're feeling the mechanics, everything is connected, you're one with that machine, with the mechanics, you can smell it, you can hear it, you can feel it, you can hear the gears meshing, you can feel them, you can feel the clutch taking in, you can feel everything happening. And I think that is an important and valuable part of the driving element to a lot of people. So the attraction there is to go, well, you know what, the modern car isn't doing it for me, I'm just going to buy something older. So this is the thing. So we've covered the elements of why people say, why are you driving older cars? Well, we're driving them because they're cheaper. You can buy an old banger for next to nothing and run it into the ground. It's not complicated. If you have a little bit of mechanical knowledge, you could probably fix most of it yourself. I don't, but a lot of people do. Whereas a modern car, clueless. Even if you break down the side of the road, you call an AA recovery man or something, even they're going to look at it and go, yeah, I just got to recover it. No idea what to do. So, but most of the old cars, if you keep a spanner and a hammer in the back, you could probably get it running again, So, it's that sort of thing. And then of course, final part of that is the element of being able to enjoy the aspect of actually driving the car. The sensation of actually driving it is still there. Now, going back to this question about climate. Now, what the research was saying is they were saying that in order to meet our emissions targets, we have about 1.3, just over 1 million, 1.3 million, let's say, electric cars on the road today. We need 10 times the number by the end of the decade. That's what they're saying. That's according to their research. We need 10 times more, right? That's a lot of cars. So you're talking about 13 million cars, right? By the end of the decade, so within 5 years. Wow. If I said additional cars, I would say, 11.5 million, let's say. So that's 2 million a year. We don't even sell 2 million cars a year anymore in the UK. But that's what they're saying. 34 million in total, I think, actual cars, not vehicles. Vehicles is closer to 40 million, but cars. That's what they're saying, that's what we need, right? Now, I've always said I mean, yes, of course, you know, if there were more electric cars, the emission levels overall would go down. It's inevitable because, like I said, there's no tailpipe emissions. Yes, there are brake emissions from the brakes and there are emissions from the tires. There's less emissions from the brake actually on an electric car because, like with this one, it's got a lot of regen, and the regen actually slows the cars down rather than actually using the brake pads. But which in itself has problems, but that's for another time. But the point is that by saying that, well, you know, we've got to dramatically increase the number of cars, but think about this. An older car has been paying its carbon dues for a while. You know, the older they get, the more they've paid off their carbon due, right? Because the carbon footprint to create that car is being paid off by the usage that you're getting out of it, right? It's paying for itself. If you scrap that car before its natural end, you know, and of course, you know, cars die, they come to an end and eventually they get scrapped, and that's fine. But if you're scrapping it unnecessarily before its due time, its end time, then that's a whole lot of energy you're putting into scrapping something that's still got usable life left in it. Surely that is not environmentally friendly because there's energy that's going into scrapping something that can still be used. Surely that's just waste, right? Waste is never good for the environment. It's like everything. It's like what we do every day now. We buy a new phone every day, throw away the old phone. It's like, come on, you know, that's wastage. You know, we should learn. We talk about the environment. We should learn to keep things and use things longer. That's what's better for the environment, because every time we're throwing it away, we're creating waste, and then to replace that thing that we've thrown away, we're creating a new product, which is then using up more of the Earth's energy and resources in order to do that. The carbon footprint of creating a new electric car is well known and well discussed. I don't need to get into it here, but it's generally higher than creating a normal ICE internal combustion engine car, right? Like I said, fair enough, over time it will pay for itself. But what we're doing at the moment is that we're accelerating that in an unnatural way, is my point. So this notion that, oh, this is bad news because we're not switching to electric cars fast enough, I don't think it's bad news. I think the fact that people are shunning buying new product, turning down their consumerism a notch, is actually a good thing and actually good for the environment, and it's actually not a bad thing at all to be keeping your car longer, using it for a longer period, and getting the most out of it before it obviously meets its natural end. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think about it. Meantime, do indeed think about supporting independent journalism, channels like mine. You can do that on Patreon, on Ko-fi, or right here on YouTube. You can take out a membership, which is voluntary, but you can do that. Or, you know what, I've got 3 books out. You can check them out. The first one is a novel. It's a full-on action thriller. It's just a lot of fun, so go check that out. And then the second book is a collection of 13 short stories that I wrote over a course of 20 years. And then the third one, which came out this year in 2025, is a how-to guide. It's how to do what I do, how to be an automotive content creator. All 3 books are on Amazon Kindle Unlimited. Go check them out. If you buy them, I will greatly appreciate it. And if you like them, leave a review on Amazon. If you don't like them, don't leave a review. Anyway, like I said, don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe on your way out, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Look forward to hearing your comments. Shout out time, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, if you enjoy my content, why not get involved? Buy me a coffee. You can do that at either of these links. Or if you're watching on YouTube, buy me a thanks or take out a membership. It all helps. It really does.